Hey everyone, welcome to this video. I wanted to give you a little update about Xcraft, the game that I'm making. So there's been quite a few changes since the last one, and one of them, as you can see, is the terrain that I added. But probably the biggest one, well definitely the biggest one, is that I made a custom physics engine for it. So I was using PhysX previously, and I had some issues with it that I didn't know how to debug myself, and I didn't want to have to rely on opening bug reports and asking for help all the time if that keeps happening. I wanted to be able to debug my own physics, so I decided to make my own physics library, and it's up on GitHub, and if you're interested in learning about physics simulation, you can check it out. I added all my sources that I used for learning at the bottom. So let me show you some other things that have been added. So the first is U-joints, or universal joints, which is these. So in Xcraft, joints so far were done in a way where I can attach them like this to the frame, and then something else could be attached on the other end. But the issue with that is for the U-joints, both of these bodies, their axis of rotation matters. So this one is supposed to spin around this, like its own axis, and this one is supposed to spin around its axis as well. And if I did it like this, I don't really have access to that information then. So instead, I created these nodes. So far I had the frame nodes, which when you connect them, you create a beam, and this is how you create the frame or the chassis. And now there's another one. So if I want to extrude, for example, I can select the U-joint option, and this will create a U-joint node. Or similarly, I can just add a U-joint like this. And then when it's created, if I move this node, the two beams will adjust their orientations so that it always looks how it's supposed to. So yeah. Okay, so it clips into the ground sometimes when I spawn it, but let me see it will fall. Okay, that's good. So you can see that it transfers the rotations through these angles. So if you need to transfer rotation in such a manner, this can be done. And with the universal joints, each one of these elbows, so to speak, introduces oscillations. And in order to cancel them out, it needs to be symmetrical. So it needs to be the same here as it is here. So you can see that it is. And yeah, that works then. But for example, if I were to recreate this one, it will then change. And now this is not the same anymore. And let me just make it a bit more exaggerated so it's easier to see. But now you can see that the spinning is not smooth. It goes kind of fast and slow. So yeah, that's about U-joints. Now let me show you the second thing, and that's springs. So with springs, similarly, if I want to create a beam, either by extruding or by connecting two nodes, I can select the spring option, and then the beam will be a spring, and it can be compressed. So let me show you what that looks like. If I spawn this, okay, so again, clips, but you can see that it's kind of moving. Okay, yeah. So you can see that when it falls down, it bounces a bit. And the reason why I wanted to add these is so that I can make suspension. So I made this buggy here, and in the suspension it uses both of these. So the motor transfers the rotation through the bevel gears, which I also added, to this axle, and then the axle uses U-joints to transfer to the wheels. And I have the springs as well. So you can see how it runs. So yeah, it runs pretty good. The wheel friction has some problems because it's the same friction all around, so that's not very realistic. So in order to allow it to slide like this, to drift, I needed to make it a bit lower, and then because of that, it doesn't grip so well. So it's kind of a compromise. But in the future, I will add a more sophisticated friction model for the wheels. I'm not sure which one, but I'll have to look into it. And then also the simulation right now is just single threaded, but in the future I want to add multi-threaded as well, which will make it faster. But in general, it runs pretty fine. I'll definitely be updating it and trying to make it better. But for now, I'm pretty happy with it. So for like 3 months, I've been just working on the physics, pretty much. But it was fun. It's a fun topic. I had no idea what it was even like before this, but I'm glad I discovered it because of this. So yeah, that's about all. Until next time, peace.